So I am here today. First off, I'm Erin Van Dyke. I'm founder of Book Rockstar, and I'm joined today by Stacey Kennedy, who is one of my favorite people, Facebook ad expert, and she works at Redbird Social. I'm so glad that you said yes, Stacey. It's always like my favorite thing talking to you.
It's my favorite thing talking to you. I'm like, oh my gosh, we could talk Facebook ads for more than an hour.
I know. So I, what I'm like, one of the reasons why I'm so glad that we're talking is because I really do feel like Facebook gets a just one like bad reputation overall, and authors who are like, oh well, no one's even on Facebook anymore, so they kind of just push it to the side automatically. um and I think when they're, and also it's just the fact that Facebook can be a bit scary for people, especially, the ad portal can look a bit scary, I think, at first. So
Yeah.
for that reason, a lot of people just like shove Facebook off to the side when it can be a really just like beautiful treasure trove of potential readers. So I'm very glad that you're here to help, like, I think, dispel some of the myths that people have about Facebook, and just really like talk about the importance of using ads in a book launch campaign.
Yeah. I'm that people say that to us all the time. Well, you
Mhm.
know, no one I know is on Facebook anymore. And
Yeah.
so I was to prepare for this, I was like, I wonder how many people are on Facebook. So I looked it up and the latest research is from April this year. So a few months ago. But as of April, there were almost 3 billion worldwide users on Facebook. And
Wow.
over 2 billion people use Facebook every day. Not that like have an account, but actually use it. So
Yeah.
about a quarter of the entire population of the world is on Facebook. And
Yeah.
71% of the US population are Facebook users. So,
Yeah. So I think it really goes like when people say, is Facebook worth it? That data in and of itself, I think, really shows that yeah, there's a lot of people who are showing up on a daily basis.
yeah.
And I think too, people who are showing up and like with the understanding that they're going to be shown advertisements, that they're going to be shown products, and I think people have a fairly open mindset to learning about new products on Facebook.
I think so too. And the trick as an author is if you are going to use Facebook ads, creating an ad that's going to get someone's attention and make them stop scrolling.
Yeah.
So that is the real trick. And so I really don't think that, Facebook is a search engine, just like Google, just like
Yeah.
YouTube, just like Pinterest. And so people go to Facebook to see if you're there, to find you. And
Yeah.
so even before an author is going to run ads, they need to be thinking about their page, their author page.
Hmm.
Especially a lot of new authors that come to our agency, they're like, well, I have 1,500 friends. I have no
Yeah.
friends on Facebook and they don't use it. I'm like, well, a page is different than a profile. A page
Hmm.
is your business. And you spend, if you're an author, you've spent all this time and energy pouring your
Hmm.
heart out into writing this book. It was so much
Yeah.
work. And if you
Yeah.
wrote the book, you probably wrote it for other people. If you're thinking about Facebook ads, you want to get it in the hands of somebody. And so
Yeah.
so really, when you were asking like what are the key to the Facebook ads? Well, the first key to Facebook ads is actually having a page.
Hmm.
Having a page that is, engaged, it's unique, that you participate in. I've been doing this for 14 years as a social media strategist. And for a while, you could just post it and forget about it. Remember when the algorithm was like
Yeah.
chronological?
Yeah.
Remember those days you could just post stuff and people would see it and react to it. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you, even though I'm in the business, um, still when I get a reply from somebody or a message or a comment from someone I follow, it still hits me,
Yeah.
it's really meaningful. And so if you are an author and you want to sell your book, part of your time just has to be spent on social media. It
Mhm.
just does. And
Yeah.
engaging and making it, social media is all about being social. It's all about the people. It's all about your people and your community. You don't have to be everything to everybody, but you have to be
Yeah.
yourself, and you have to be yourself to your people.
Yeah. I love that. Um, so one thing you said a little bit ago is having an ad that makes someone stop scrolling.
Yeah.
What what are the what are the key features that you have found in your experience that make someone stop scrolling?
The first thing that'll make someone stop scrolling is your image or your video. That's the first thing, whether it's an ad or whether it's your content. So you can craft the most beautiful scripted post that goes with it. But if it doesn't look
Mhm.
professional, I mean, if it doesn't look professional can be a black background and white text, you
Yeah.
know, that's not the
Yeah.
key. But it shouldn't look like it came out of 2005.
Mhm.
So a lot of times we'll encourage authors to either hire somebody to do their graphics so that they
Mhm.
look somewhat professional. And when I say
Mhm.
professional, I mean I've seen some pretty great reels of people. One author that we work with, she's a mom of 5, and the only time she has in her day for her social media is sitting in the car line at school. And so
Mhm.
she started pulling out her phone and just, this is car line time. And we're just going to talk about, whatever we're talking about in the car line. And so when I
Yeah.
say professional, that can be your iPhone pulled out
Yeah.
in your car, walking that's fine. But if you're especially going to make stilled graphics, use a tool. Canva.com is a free tool.
Mhm.
Most people
Love
use.
it.
I use it all the time. So and they have templates. If you don't know how to do
Mhm.
graphic design, go to Canva and pick a template and pick your colors and your fonts and use that. And just do some basic, don't use more than 2 fonts in your graphics. Pick a font that really or a typeface that really represents you and stick with
Mhm.
it. The last thing I want to see is a graphic that has 3 different typefaces in it and I can't read. And you got to keep in mind
Mhm.
when you're creating those graphics, 94% of social media users are on a phone.
Mhm.
So if you put a ton of text on your graphic, old ladies with glasses aren't going to be able to stop. They're not going to read it. They're not going to stop and try to decipher what you've written. So you can put
Yeah.
more in post copy, but just the graphics should be simple and easy to read. And if you're going to post videos, remember that the default mode on Facebook and Instagram is mute. When people are
Mhm.
scrolling, they could be scrolling anywhere in a
Yeah.
meeting. They've got their
Yeah.
sound off. And so people read videos on Facebook and Instagram just as much as they, will turn the sound on and listen. And so
Mhm.
keep that in mind. It's another step. Facebook has auto-generated captions. Instagram will auto-generate captions. So they're not always perfect, but put captions on your videos. So
Yeah.
taking that into an ad, I think one great way to test ads is to look at your insights on your page. The insights are the data that you can see in the back end that says what's working and what's not working and how well it's working. So if there's something that's,
Yeah.
really resonated with somebody, that's a good indication that you could turn that into an ad. But don't just hit the boost button. That's just like, here, Facebook, take my money. So you definitely, as an author, need to educate yourself on, I want to back up just a little bit and make sure that your business manager is set up. Facebook owns Instagram. It's all Meta. Meta owns the world, right? But you want
Mhm.
your business manager set up properly so that you have an ad account, that you have created audiences of your engagement, your Facebook page engagement, your Instagram engagement. Ideally, you've used Business Manager to create a pixel, which is a HTML code that you can put on the back end of your
Mhm.
website, which There are a lot of great landing pages for authors, I'm sure is a whole other topic of conversation, but it's
Mhm.
crucial for the success of your ad to have a landing page that you're going to send
Yeah.
people to. Now, a lot of authors just have Amazon affiliate accounts and send people to Amazon. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not really trackable. It's not
Mhm.
as trackable as sending someone to your website. So, the first thing that I think an author really needs to think about when they do want to spend some money on Facebook ads is, what's your objective?
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish? Engagement, video views, likes, shares, that is a valid objective, but know that that's your objective. And that
Mhm.
objective should be part of a much larger plan for
Mhm.
building your email list or sending them to your Shopify site or sending them to Amazon, but it should be part of a bigger plan. Engagement is important, but it doesn't necessarily sell books. It's like one piece of getting your
Right.
book.
Yeah.
So go back to your question of what makes an ad great? The visual, for
Yeah.
sure. First, you have to stop the scroll. And so people are scrolling. What are they going to see? You know, you've got them for about 10 seconds for the video, maybe if you're lucky. But the second thing they're going to
Mhm.
notice is the headline. When you create an ad, the headline is one piece of the ad. I do a lot of headline testing when we do book
Okay.
launches. So, do you want me to talk about headline tests?
Yeah. No, because I think
Granular.
especially for authors who are new to Facebook, it's probably like, oh, I'm just gonna put one version up. I don't think
Mm,
people always think about the testing process. So I'd love for you to dive into that.
yeah. There's the old school test I'll tell you about that I do. And then, Facebook changes all the time. And so, one thing that I'm noticing in 2023 is that I have to let go a little bit of things that I have always created my audiences. And then iOS 14 came out, and that just kind of messed up a lot of things. When Apple decided that they were going to allow their users to opt out of tracking,
Mm.
everybody in the Facebook ad space was like, "This is going to ruin our ads. This is going to ruin our audiences," and it was a gut punch. And so
Mm.
I'm going to talk a little bit old school, and then I'm going to talk a little bit of I'm always learning. And
Mhm.
so if you're old school and you do your headline tests and you have your audiences and you target your audiences, high level, you have your campaign and then you have different ad sets. And in each of the ad sets, you have ads. And then you look at the results and you pick your winning ads and you kind of go from there. And now
Mhm.
Facebook, um, their algorithm is really, really smart. They know what you like. I guarantee you, Erin, when you scroll through your Facebook feed, you see something completely different than what I see. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to see stuff about homeschooling. I'm going to see things about homesteading. And I live in Tennessee, so I'm going to see a lot of Tennessee things. I'm guarantee you haven't seen any of that in your news because Facebook
Nope.
knows what I like and knows what I'm going to click on, and they know what you like and what you're going to click
Yeah.
on. They're going to show you that. And the same is true for ads. So, what I've been noticing, I wanted to say in the last few months, is how amazing the dynamic creative ads are with Facebook. And I have been testing ads for clients where I'm not choosing any audiences.
Wow.
I'm not targeting. I'm just letting Facebook decide. And so I'll do my headline test that I normally do. So a headline test, just a really quick overview how I do mine. I come up with 10 different headlines that I think could capture someone's attention around
Mhm.
this certain book. And then I will put those words on a two-tone, I'll call it ugly graphic that's, probably has to do with the color of the book. So let's say gold and black, and then my
Mhm.
text white. Simple. And I'll run those and I'll create the 10 graphics. And the only thing I'll do for my link is link it to the book pre-order on Amazon.
Mhm.
I'll run the ads and I'll create a rule that the ads have to shut off after they spend $5. And the objective of the ads obviously is link click. I just wanted to click. And so what I'm going to do after each of those headlines hits their $5 mark and the rules for the ads turn them off is I'm going to look for my winners. And so my winners have the lowest cost per click. They're going to have the highest click-through rate. And they're going to have probably the most impressions. And I'm going to pick my winners, my 3 or 4 winners from those. And I'm always wrong. I'm always like, this one for sure is going to be the winner.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. And a click-through rate is just how Facebook measures, like per 1,000 impressions, someone responds to the ad. The average click-through rate on a Facebook ad is less than 1%. So less than 1% of people who see the ad do anything. So if I have an ad, a headline test that has spent $5 and it has a 12% click-through rate, it's a winner.
That's great. Yeah.
Or even at 5%. So I look for the highest click-through rate and the lowest cost per click. And then I make my winners. And then from there, I can make my own, the old school way, which I still do because I want to totally trust Facebook, but still you can test headlines. Now you can test headlines within an ad. You can give an ad multiple headlines, or you can do your own separate ads. That's really old school, but sometimes I like to see that. Now, I just want to make a caveat. All of these things happen inside of Ads Manager, inside of Business Manager. If you are even in Meta Business Suite and looking at Ads Center, you're not in the right place to be able to do all of this. And so I just want to kind of give that little bit of a caveat. We're talking about using Business Manager and Ads Manager. There are tools that Facebook has given people that make it more simple, but also with that simplification comes a lot less control and ability to see. So I just want to say that. So that they see the headline, they see the graphic, and then they see the headline. And so a lot of times authors are like, what do I put in my headline? What's a good headline? Buy my book. No, people don't go from social media straight to buy a book unless they know you and you're like, they are your super fan. And so I think that's another mistake that authors make is they think, well, if I spend this much money on Facebook, I'm going to know I sold this many books. No, that's what Amazon ads are for. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if your Facebook ads are sending people to Amazon, you can look, you can go into KDP and kind of see if that's the only place you're spending your ad money is on Facebook and you're only sending people to Amazon. Yes, you can definitely do that, but I don't know a lot of authors that do it that way. Some do. I'm sure you know people who do it that way because they just want to spend the ad dollars to just sell the book.
Right.
But I think it's a little short-sighted because first of all, Facebook owns all of your Facebook followers. Instagram owns your Instagram followers. Facebook can change the algorithm and the rules of engagement whenever and however they want. And so, yes, those are your fans, those are your followers, but they don't really belong to you. And Facebook can do whatever they want. And so I really encourage authors, like when I say have that great book landing page, one key element of that great book landing page is something that you're giving away for free. So we'll call it all different things. A lead magnet, I don't know, you've heard 100 terms for it.
Like freebies, freemiums, like downloads, all of that stuff.
And so think about what you can do to be generous to, especially people who just met you on a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad. What can you get? What do you have for them? What's in it for them? Donald Miller talks a lot about that in StoryBrand. When they go to your website, the first thing they're thinking is, what's in it for me and what do you want me to do? And you've got them for a couple seconds. It's the same thing with the ad, right? So if they've clicked your ad, they see something that's in it for them. And so a great ad, especially for authors, a good kind of ad would be, what can you give them for free? Yep, you can give them 3 chapters of your book. Or you can give them something that goes along with the book, right? Or
Mhm.
you can give them a list of things. You can give them a video series. You can give them phone lock screens. You can Google the question, what should I give my readers for free? And
Yeah.
deliver that to them. And if you're spending your ad money on building an email list, you're spending your money on building an asset that you do own. You do control your email list. And I mean, we hear time and time again from our authors, who really love their community. If you email an author back and then they reply to you, that means so much. And building
Right.
that email community is really where books are sold statistically across the board.
Yep.
It's through email.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you're bringing this up because I think authors think, "Oh, well, I'm still writing my book, I may not need to be thinking about any of this marketing stuff right now," but this is the perfect example and the perfect strategy that I think it can be done and should be done in the waiting period because like you're saying, this building up the email list can be so important, and that can be done while someone's still writing. It could be done. Maybe they've turned in their manuscript to their publisher and they've got 7 months until the book comes out. That's 7 months of Facebook ads they can be doing to be building up their audience. So I'm really glad that you're bringing that up.
And they can be talking about the book, even if they can't be sharing that they've written a book
Mhm.
yet. They can still be
Yeah.
talking about what they've been writing about and finding out from their community what their community thinks about all the different topics. They don't have to know that that's chapter 4. You can just
Right.
say, I've been thinking about XYZ, which is the title of my chapter 4. I've been thinking about XYZ. What do you think about this? What do you know,
Mhm.
I'm trying not to give away some of the books that we're launching because they're like top of my mind right now.
Yeah.
There are really great tools for you in Instagram, like polls, different things you can do in your stories where you can get your community engaged and find out what they think. And that can help craft what you do and how you do when you're actually in the launch phase of your book.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about running ads for, let's say, building up an email list. So what would be, because I think where some hesitation might come in with authors is, well, if I'm going to be spending then this money, like what should be the right, um, I guess, spend for someone each month if they are thinking about building up this audience. Because I feel like there's always people who want to think about the ROI down the line of like, okay, well, if I'm putting in this much to building a platform, they want to make sure when the book is actually available, they're kind of getting that return on the investment.
It's a big question. And it really depends on your budget.
Hmm.
Um, like just your overall budget. And authors are creatives, and when you talk about money, they don't want to talk about money, and
Yeah,
they didn't know it was going to cost this much money to write the book. What are you telling me? I have to spend money on a landing page now, and I have to spend money on Facebook ads and then Amazon ads? And the answer is, well, if you want the book to sell, the answer is yes.
yeah,
And so when I'm presented with that question all the time, I always recommend starting at just mentally plan for $20 a day
hmm,
on ads. Yes, you can do it for $5 a day. Yes, you can. Absolutely. And you can test things and see what works and what doesn't work. And then
yeah,
there's different types, really thinking about your whole big picture. A lot of authors write their books not because they want to make money like selling their book, but because their book is almost like a business card because they're going to make money speaking.
yep,
So think about the big picture. Let's say that's this author that we're talking about. They're really a speaker and they're going to get $5,000 every time they go speak.
yep,
So what is an email worth to you? We've got to go backwards. We've got to
yep,
figure out what's it worth to you to get that email, to get that person to, like, in your community, like your closed circle community. If you're emailing them, you're in a closed circle community, and then getting them to buy your book, and then going, we need to get this person to speak at this event.
yeah,
And so when you think about your ad budget, if your only goal is book sales, that really changes how you do your ads. But if you
Mhm.
have speaking engagements, merch, if you have other stuff that's all around the book, then you have to think of that whole big picture when you think about what your ad budget is. And so I would think about what's my revenue goal for the whole year. And then I would do no less than 10% of that for your
Mhm.
ad. So that's kind of my long answer to that question.
Yeah, no, I think that that's helpful because it gives people that realistic benchmark that I think is because then you've got authors who, they'll go in for like a $1 a day. They don't really see the results, and so they'll kind of give up on the ad. So I think it's good to have that kind of realistic picture.
Mhm.
Um, going back to like the headlines and just some of the copy. What are the things that you're thinking about when it comes time to writing out that different copy? Like, what is there a process that you're going through, or one that you've, or maybe a structure that you've found works pretty well in your experience?
It depends on what the objective of the ad is, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know this too, but let's say the objective of the ad is a free something that I'm
Hmm.
offering to you. So, if it's a free something that I'm offering to you, different types of headlines are going to somehow touch on the felt need that you have that makes you want what I'm giving to you. So every headline that I want to develop, somehow I want to hit that felt need. Now, a headline can be a testimonial. A
Yeah.
headline can be a quote, like a short little quote from somebody that says, "Oh my gosh, this changed my life." Da da da. Because before
Yeah.
I was this and now I'm this. Um, so a headline is short and sweet, depending on the type. There's 21 different placements. I think there might be more ad placements. Facebook ads go in lots of different places. So it also depends on where you're placing your ad. If you just choose automatic placements, you'll want to make sure you're paying attention to what that headline looks like in all the different placements.
Hmm.
94% of the social media ads are going to be engaged with on mobile. So
Hmm.
look at mobile placement first. And then you can look at the right-hand column and the desktop news feed and how is it going to show up in stories. Even when you create your graphic, you're going to need to create at least two sizes. One
Hmm.
size is going to be for, either square or rectangle, and then one size is going to be for stories. And so especially if it has text on it, you just want to make sure that the ad that you're making looks right, or just
Right.
uncheck that placement. Don't put your ad in Messenger if you don't plan on replying to people in Messenger that say something to you when they see your ad.
Yeah.
So the headline is really important, and then the primary text is really important, and just as important as the text that goes around it. You know, let's say it's for a free download for 10 strategies for, I don't know. I can't think. I don't copyright. So it's your 10 strategy document, the 10 strategies of things that change your life for this. Then in your primary text, you say, I've heard from a lot of people who've been asking me for this. And so I just wanted to put it all in one place and just give it to you. And if you go here, just go to my
Yeah.
website and give it to you. I would really avoid words like sign up for my newsletter, subscribe to my email list. I get enough emails. That's not helpful to me, like as a lead. So, or even to mention it. When they go to your website, if your website is, the page that you send them should just be right in front of them. Here, grab your 10 strategies for this thing, and then they have to put their name in their email, and then they get it. And
Yeah.
so Facebook has a type of ad called a lead ad where they don't even have to leave Facebook to get it. You can deliver it to them that way. That's a little bit more of a complex ad, though, to deliver a free download that way, but you can use a lead ad, or you can use an ad that sends them to your website. And then you want to make sure that you put a call to action button on there. So that way, maybe you've got the link in the description of the ad, but then you also have a button that they can click. That's really important, especially
Hmm.
if shows up on Instagram, because on Instagram you can put a link in the description, but no one can click it.
Right.
So did that answer your
Uh,
question?
yeah, and I guess thinking about, because you mentioned, like, the lead ad can be a little bit more complex. So,
Mm.
for someone who might be just kind of starting off doing Facebook ads for the first time, what would be the, I guess, if someone was a beginner, what would be the, I guess, the best ad type that you'd recommend to them? And what would be, like, the first type of, audience that they would either wanna target or create in Business Manager?
That's a good question. So you can create audiences in your business manager for your engagement. And so you can create audiences of people who have viewed your videos. You select those. Now, those don't automatically update, so you have to keep adding to your video view audiences. But people who
Mhm,
have engaged on your page. So engaged is they, liked a post, commented on a post, saved a post, um, commented to somebody else on your post, anything that they've
mhm,
done to engage with you. Um, and you can also create an audience of people who like your page or follow your page. That audience actually has to be totally separate. It's its own thing. They won't let you combine that
mhm,
engagement audience. But do engagement, Facebook engagement, your Instagram engagement, your video views. If you figured out how to put a pixel on your website, you can make an audience of people who've gone to your website. You can make an
mhm,
audience of people who went to one page on your site, but they didn't make it to another. So that can be a really, niche audience we use for something like retargeting. That wouldn't be for your
mhm.
beginner, but um, definitely create you can see the types of audiences. If you already have an existing email list, you can upload a CSV file of your email list, and that can be an audience that you target. And so
Mhm.
if someone hires our agency to help with ads, I always say, send me your email list. And they'll say, oh, we just cleaned it up and took out all the unsubscribers. I'm like, no, send them all. Give me all the
Yeah,
unsubscribers. I'm not emailing them. I'm just
right.
marketing. So
Yeah.
every email list that you have, you can upload into, you can upload first name, last name, city, state, zip, phone number, any of that data that you might have. Let's say if you have an e-commerce store, that list of customers, you can upload that as a CSV file, and that can be an
Mhm,
audience. And that can be a really, really good audience. And if you're small and you're just starting out and you've got like a baby page, then it might not be that you're using any audiences at all with the way that the
yeah,
new dynamic creative works. You might not have to worry about that right now. If your ad is good, if it's compelling, if it's a post, let's say you can turn a post on your page into an ad. Let's say you want to do that, then Facebook knows, if it's somebody like me or if it's somebody like Aaron who might click on it, you can literally choose the country and the age and gender and go with that and use what's called dynamic creative. So,
yeah.
I mean, the dynamic creative, I'm still learning because I'm a control freak and I don't like to let go. Um, but you can use multiple images and then multiply. You need to have a budget for dynamic creative, but if you're a newbie, I I would say try learning that way,
Yeah.
because letting Facebook decide, and when you use audiences, you are limiting yourself eventually. It does get harder to scale. So, let's say something is working, that doesn't necessarily mean it will always work. You
Mhm.
can't show the same ad to someone over and over and over. In your ads manager, in your results, there's something called frequency. You can see how often people are seeing your ad, and you don't want them to get
Yeah.
tired. So, and there are so many really generous people out there who help authors with these types of things, like you. You're my favorite. And so but Aaron, you give a lot of advice in your email. I get your emails. I signed up for your email list because I want to be on
Yeah.
your um and see what you're saying, because you stay up with, but you need to be following people like Aaron who will tell you kind of current trends and different things that are going on, because it is changing all the time. All the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It is. It actually is a. I'm kind of like you in a way where I've got like I think tight control over. Oh well, I want to say things a certain way, or I want things to
Mhm.
look a certain way. But it is a little bit refreshing to hear about this new dynamic creative option because for someone who says I'm not techie or well I don't normally understand this type of stuff, it's sounding like it's actually going to be a great option for someone who has maybe shied away from Facebook ads before out of just like fear of not knowing what to do.
Right.
So
Right.
it's actually a really could be a great thing for beginners to test out and just see if Facebook can do a lot of the heavy lifting for them.
Find your people, right?
Yeah.
So as an author, you still need to be creating content for your page. You still need to be engaging your community. You still need to put out content people actually want to see. Because if
Mhm.
you're wanting to use the dynamic creative, you know, Facebook is basically with dynamic creative creating an audience of people who are responding to your ads. And so
Mhm.
they're almost like learning your audience. Well, that's also how they learn your audience, is how people are engaged with your page. And
Mhm.
so, my heart goes out to authors that are like, I just want to be a writer. I just want to write my book, you
Yeah.
know. But if you want to sell your book, there's more work to be done. And
Mhm.
you're the only one that can do it. You can hire an agency to help, and you can hire a book launcher to help you, but there is a certain amount of marketing that has to be done as an author in order to get your
Mhm.
book sold. And so really, I'm not kidding. My heart goes out to the authors that really just want to write and they don't want to
Yeah.
be writers. Um, so, but you just do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's like the mindset shift a little bit of you saying, okay, some days I am going to be an author, and then some days it's like, all right, hat off, and then for 2 hours today, I have to be a marketer. And I think
Right.
sometimes thinking about it through that lens can be helpful. Is you know Tuesday mornings, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. when I have a free hour. That's when I'm you know being a marketer for an hour and
Mhm.
maybe it's spending that hour creating a handful of Facebook posts
Yep.
and doing creating a Facebook ad or two, testing out different things, and especially with the dynamic targeting hopefully takes even less time than before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important to even just sit down and make a content calendar. And on
Hmm.
your content calendar, figure out what's the rhythm of your page. Nobody likes to
Hmm.
wake up on Tuesday and go, "Oh, I haven't even posted anything yet. What am I going to post today?" It, it sounds like it's a lot of work to sit down to sit down on Monday, the first Monday of the month, to think of the content for the next month. That's a lot.
Hmm.
But you can break it down by weeks and say, I'm going to make sure that I post 4 times a week. And my first post is going to be a quote. It could be a
Hmm.
quote from a book you've written. It could be a quote from an author that you like.
Yeah.
Um, you know, author, I love it when authors hype other authors up. Who do you love? If you love this other author, your people love that other author. And so
Hmm.
being yourself, and then, on the next post is going to be some kind of video. So what's that video content going to be about? The next post is going to be, some authors really like doing all the weird holidays. You can like look up all the,
Hmm.
today is National Donut Day. Great.
Yeah.
So post a picture of you eating a donut, whatever it is, figure out your content, whether it's by week or whether it's by month. If
Hmm.
not many people write blogs anymore, but a lot of people do. And one blog post can be 5 different pieces of social media content. It should be, or a
Hmm.
podcast. And so think about that. And then when you're sitting down and you're kind of doing your marketing work, look at your insights to see what's working. What are
Yep.
people responding to? And then make sure you're doing more of that. And can any of that be an ad? Can any of that be something where I'm going to send somebody to my website to get my free thing? Can any of the stuff that has worked be something where I can build my email list?
Mm-hmm.
And then, use those for ads. Even if you
Yeah.
put just $5 behind a video to start building your video view audiences, those are audiences and those are engagement and those are people you can,
Yeah.
use when you do make your big ad, your big asks.
Yeah, because that's something like I've thought about over the last few months, even for myself, is as I'm posting videos, if I could just put some dollars behind that, get the video views. If I'm sharing a blog post, is that something I could boost that so I'm getting people to my website where I have a pixel? So like
Yes.
I think it's thinking about the little micro strategies as pieces of the full strategy. I think that's helpful, like for us to be talking about today, because I think sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna put up an ad and see how it goes. But there usually are like little like other strategies that have to fall into place.
Yeah, if you have the budget, just put that little bit of money behind the videos. I think it helps. And then, I read your blog posts, Erin, and like you put so much time and effort behind them. So thinking of ways you can just take that one blog post and turn it into lots of different kinds of content. There are tools out there that'll take your text and, put it on a video, or, you could just set your iPhone up in the corner, picture, of you working. So like it's a video of you and you're not even talking, but the words that you wrote coming out. So there are lots of different ways that you can do that and play with, and then you see what your audience responds to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thinking about what an audience responds to. I know you mentioned you may be testing out 10 different headlines when you're creating an ad. When it comes to the actual like creative, like whether it's an image or a video, how many different versions of that do you usually test? So like if an author's wanting to run an ad campaign, whether it's to try and grow their email list or to sell the book, how many different like graphics or images or videos should they be collecting or creating for that campaign?
Well, I would say as many as you have time for. Or for us, as an agency, a lot of it depends on the budget of the client.
Mhm.
How much have they, paid us to run and set up an ad? If it's, I would say if it's typical, then I'm going to, at a minimum, test a still graphic and a video. At a
Mhm.
minimum. Because just when you think, oh, video is king, video is the only thing I need, then the still graphic does really well, or vice
Yeah.
versa. Or, one thing that I'm sure you've seen this a lot too, where a publisher will come up with a book trailer and it's super
Mhm.
professional and it's so
Mhm.
good and it's so compelling. And you're like, this is the ad. You want
Yeah.
it to be the ad because it's so good and the book trailer is so great. And then the other video that you're testing is literally the author in the car line
Mhm.
talking about the book from the depths of her heart. And that one wins. And
Yeah.
so I would say professional versus off the cuff, and still versus video, for whatever you have bandwidth to create. And maybe you only have bandwidth to do one thing this week. So just do that
Mhm.
one and then shut it off, and then do the next one next week, and then run that fair week and shut it off, and then try. So
Mhm.
just being realistic about what people have time for. I mean, Facebook ads is what I do
Yeah.
most day, all day long. And so I'm in ads manager. I'm in business manager. I'm back there all the
Yeah.
time. But if it's an author and they're like, oh, I don't even know, it's so much work for me to go back in and do this, I'd say give yourself grace.
Mhm.
There are a lot of great podcasts out there. I mean, there's podcasts for authors. Like one of my favorites is these two guys in England called, I think they're called Indie. I have to look them up. Indie authors. They're awesome. Two indie authors. I was just
Okay.
listening. They are fantastic. And yeah, they have a genre that they write, And so it might not be your genre, but I
Mhm.
think a lot of the principles still apply. And I do think it's helpful if an author is going to do everything by themselves. First of all, that's really
Yeah.
hard. So be nice to yourself. A lot of authors use agencies and they use help because they need it. It's really,
Mhm.
really hard to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
So find the podcast that you resonate with. I like Two Indie Authors because I learn a lot from them. At the end of
Yeah.
all their podcasts, they ask an author 7 questions, like, how are you marketing? And how do you, I want to hear what these authors are saying because that just helps me do better at my job. And so even
Yeah.
if the author isn't writing in a genre that fits yours, something that they say is going to apply.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that Facebook changes all the time, all the time. Been doing this for
Yeah.
almost 15 years, and not one year has been like the year before. And so you've got to be flexible enough. The
Yeah.
control freak has to be flexible enough to go, okay, I'm going to try dynamic creative. This is really hard because all I've ever done is make audiences. And, a lot of our clients at Redbird Social are faith-based clients. And so in 2021, when Facebook just across the board removed all interest-based targeting for anything,
Mhm.
anybody faith-based, we were like, what are we going to do? We figured it
Yeah.
out. You figure it out and you got, at first it's like a gut punch. And then you just move on and then you just figure it out.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't know the answer to your question, a lot of times you can Google it and at least get yourself on the right track.
Yeah. I guess really, really quickly, do you want to talk a bit more about um, Redbird Social and just how you guys do help with Facebook, whether it's organic or paid?
So Redbird Social is a full service agency. Most of our clients are authors. I don't know how it worked that way. Most of our clients I have a background in publishing, which is where we met,
Yep.
back in our former life. And so we've done just probably between you and me, I think we've probably launched hundreds of books, right? Like it's just,
Hundreds. Yeah.
it's in our blood. And that's how we are at Redbird Social. So when we get to do book launches, I just find it every single one, it's just a privilege. So we do day-to-day socials for authors that don't want to do that content calendar. You don't want to create the graphics and videos. They don't want to, so we can do that.
Mhm.
When we do a full service day-to-day social, we're also doing engagement. I always say nothing that we're doing is rocket science. It's time. And so what do
Yep.
people have time for or not? We
Yeah.
do book launch packages. And most of the time when we do a book launch package, that's when we bring you in because
Mhm.
you're the book rock star. And your marketing plans just like help set the tone for our whole team. And so we'll do a whole book launch plan, and that includes way beyond social ads. So I'll do the social media ads part of that. And sometimes I'll do content and sometimes I do the graphics, just depends. Because I used to do all of that and I miss it sometimes. So I'm like, oh, please, can I just do the graphics for this one? But usually
Yeah.
I'm running ads, but then we'll do Amazon ads, Goodreads giveaways. I'm sure you talk to your authors a lot about the importance of
Mhm.
Goodreads, BookBub. It just depends on which part of the book launch package that they want. And they're
Yeah.
usually 8 to 12 weeks long and that's a project. And so
Yeah.
people have their projects. We'll create freemiums for their websites. We can build website pages for authors that don't have a website. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but
You guys do it all. It's amazing.
we have an awesome team. We really do. It's just a privilege. I love what we get to do.
Yeah, and I think it's always so cool getting to, I think, be in some of the conversations with the projects that we get to work on together, and in like thinking like about the ads specifically, just like hearing the strategies and even just like the success too that you guys find with the ads that you're running, and just like how much thought goes into how you guys are gonna be building up the email list and using retargeting and all of that stuff. So I always love getting to kind of co-work on projects together because I'm always blown away by all of the work you guys do.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. We've for 14 years, we just talk, email marketing, email. But let me tell you, in 2023, it's been, how can we help this client whose audience is, what's the audience? What's the age like after the millennials? What are they?
Oh, like, wait, like older than millennial?
No, younger.
Younger.
The
Gen
high school.
Z, I think,
No, they
right?
did. Okay, so helping those guys, they might have email, but email marketing isn't really going to reach them like SMS marketing is, like text
Mhm,
marketing, like Instagram DMs,
mhm.
all of that. And so even finding ways to pivot and finding services to do that. And so I would say that if your authors have an audience that's Gen Z, or my son is 10. And so I just heard the other day that they are Generation Alpha. So
Okay, I have not heard that.
we are the alpha. Who knew? I just learned. But they are, they're on their tablets and they're on their iPhones. And so, how do we market to those kids? So, for your authors that have younger audiences, they're probably younger authors. So, they probably already know. But that is
Mhm.
going to, when you hear us old people say email marketing, we also mean SMS marketing, Instagram DMs. It's
Yeah,
just as important, like building up. And you use the Instagram DMs to really build up either get their text, get their cell phones or the phone
yeah,
numbers or their emails. But that's key when you have the younger readers to keep
yeah.
in mind. I mean, I know we're running out of time, but keep that in mind if your demographic is those cute little babies.
Yeah, I know there's just so many like layers to think about and like every single book is going to have a different strategy for that exact reason is because there's always a different a different audience that varies somehow because
Yeah.
maybe someone spends majority of their time promoting on LinkedIn. Maybe someone else needs to spend majority of their time sending Instagram DMs or so it's like every project is so different, which is what makes it fun to get to
Yes.
work on so many different projects. Um, but yeah, it's crazy how everything is just constantly changing. Nothing's ever the same.
But I mean, this. What we always tell our client, like, well, should I be on Twitter? Should I be here?
Mhm, mhm.
And usually I'm like, well, are you already there? Do you already like it? Do you use it? Because chances are the people that you're trying to reach are similar to you in some way. And
Yeah,
so maybe you do need to branch out and, be in these other places. But my standard answer to authors that are like trying to figure out where to be on social media um, is make sure that you are where you're comfortable, and also don't
mhm.
spread yourself too thin, especially if
Yep,
you're like a one-man show. Facebook and Instagram is where you should be.
yeah,
And then depending on your book, maybe you should be on TikTok, or maybe just work on your Instagram reels first and see how that goes and then move to TikTok.
yeah,
Or maybe you should be on Twitter, depend on your book. Or maybe LinkedIn is a better fit because of what you're doing.
yeah,
So think about the platform and who's on those platforms, and are they your people? Because if they're not your
100%.
people, don't waste your time.
Yeah, that's my same philosophy is and spreading yourself too thin ends up with a lot of exhaustion, overwhelm, and then you just say, "Well, then I'm not even gonna post on any of the platforms." And so I'm like, "Nope, just pick 1, maybe 2, and just, like, fully adopt that
Mhm.
one thing and give that your all." Because yeah, then there's way less of a likelihood that someone's just gonna give up completely.
Yeah. And if you don't know how to do something, find somebody that will help you. It's
Mhm.
worth it's worth finding, Erin, you're such a good consultant. I sit and listen to you teach authors in our meetings. Not everybody knows all the things, but some people are real experts at what they do. And so it's worth finding that expert to encourage you, to launch you to do your own thing, or to just get that help. There's nothing wrong with getting help if you need help.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with the pieces that you don't have the time to understand, or that you really just feel like is not the right fit for your skill set.
Zoom live.
I know. Well, Stacey, I appreciate you hanging out with me for the hour and chatting about Facebook. And it's always, like I said at the beginning, I always love my chances to talk with you. So I appreciate you sharing your expertise. And for any authors who want help with the book launch process, particularly like in the Facebook ad arena, even other ad platforms as well. I'm going to be putting the link for Redbird's website. If they're watching the replay on YouTube, it'll be in the comment section. Otherwise, it's redbirdsocial.co, right?
No, it's redbirdsocial.com. I think Redbird Social is like our Twitter handle. But if you go to redbirdsocial.com, at the top, there's like a little red bar that says free consultation. And so if you're an author and you're like not sure if you need an agency help, you can always reach out for a free consult.
Yeah. And definitely take them up on that, though, because they're amazing. They're such a fun team. And I really couldn't speak more highly of them.
Same. You are the book rock star.
Oh, thank you, Stacey. I appreciate that. Well,
fun.
Thank you again. And everyone check out redbirdsocial.com and go get started on your own Facebook ads.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thanks, Stacey. We'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.